Welcome back. Last time, I don't remember quite what we did. It's actually been quite a few days since I've last recorded this, but I've had the craving. I've just been doing other things. So, last time, I believe I was discussing how I would be going off to hang out with a friend. That has been done. We watched a movie, and I'm going to talk about it because it had to have been one of the most. Well, we actually watched two movies, alright? So, let's just start from the beginning. We went out, grabbed a couple bottles to drink, nothing heavy, uh, and we watched a couple movies. Movie one was a movie from the 1980s called Stir Crazy with Gene Wilder, and I forget the other guy's name. But Gene Wilder is the original Willy Wonka, for those of you who don't know. And so the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was 1971, I believe. So we're talking quite a bit of time after, 9 years after the success that was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, we have Stir Crazy. And the plot of Stir Crazy doesn't really begin for the first half. So the first thing that was actually brought up by me was that at the very beginning, it sounds like Kermit the Frog is singing. And so I thought we were watching a Muppets movie. It was the really old one. Uh, and that wasn't the case, which I would soon learn. Um, but the movie's playing on, and then it just became a joke because it didn't take long to realize it wasn't a Muppets movie. Uh, but we're watching along, having a very confused time of it because the comedy itself is pretty good. It's just you know, um, it wasn't. The movie didn't have a plot. We start in New York, okay, and Gene Wilder's character. I don't remember their names of the characters. Anyways, they both of the main characters get fired, and Richard Pravitt, something like that. That's the other actor. Um, and so the two of them both get fired from their jobs at around the same time. Um, and then they decide. Gene Wilder's character convinces Richard Pravitt's character to go to the Sun Belt, California, the desert over that way, uh, because everything should be better there. Uh, Naked women dancing in the ocean, shit like that, and where everybody's polite and nice. So they go off on a grand journey to, you know, go to California from New York, and they're driving off, and their car breaks down somewhere. I think like Texas ish. I say Texas ish because I don't remember exactly where. Um, but they break down, and then in order to afford the repairs in their car and still have money, to get to California and live there, they get jobs at a bank with mascot suits on. All right. Nothing too wild yet. That's actually a pretty sick village generation, how it generated up on that. So anyways, they're getting jobs as mascots in the bank. And some people decide to rob the bank by putting on these mascot costumes. And when these guys were on break, and impersonate them, rob the bank, assault some people. And then these two, because they were the people who wore the mascots costumes normally, were arrested. Then they're sent to prison. Mind you, we're at 30 minutes into the movie. and they're getting arrested. So, oh no, they're being arrested. Soon we'll be getting to the plot, right? Anyways, they get arrested and they get put in some really shitty prison. Not to say most prisons are good prisons. This one just happens to be a shitty prison. Uh, like abusively bad prison is what I mean by that. And so they're going through hell in this prison, just trying to stay alive. There's all sorts of mean people in this jail. And then the warden calls our main two characters up to the warden's office. And, it's all fun and games. Let's go with that lime bed. That's the vibe this time. And so there they are. They're just going to the warden's office. And June Wilder's character is like a starry-eyed writer, and he just starts listing on how the prisoners could have better quality care if just a few dots go off. Like, hey, just better this, better that, just overall better treatment of the prisoners. And so the warden decides to try to torture the man using the electronic bull he has in his office because he's a bull rider himself. And so they put it on. They put Gene Wilder on the bull, and then they turn it up to a pretty high level, and he's just having fun with it. And he's a natural cowboy. And now, only now, at 50 minutes in, are we about to uncover the plot of the movie. So, these two have been falsely accused, and they are, talking with their lawyer who's trying to get them freedom. But it's just not working because, these guys totally robbed the bank, and there's no proof to say they didn't. So they're trying to do so. Ooh, armor trim. Oh shit! I have so much armor trim. They're trying to get away with these crimes. They've trying to get out of prison because they haven't actually committed any crimes. To which the other guys are just bullshit. You definitely committed the crimes. Nobody else could have done it. I'm gonna get rid of this obsidian. It's not that important. What else would I get rid of? Because I need three more saddles. I already have one on that. Fine, I'll keep the obsidian. But they're, accused of crimes, and they're trying not to be. They're trying not to serve time for a crime they didn't commit, right? That's the gist of it. So the lawyer's trying to get them out, and then the lawyer introduces his cousin who's been helping on the case, some attractive woman, and so Gene Wilder falls in love instantly, and starts, trying to chat her up, and she seems interested in him too. This will be pretty much unrelated to the plot, but it was there. Anyways, the warden then tells Gene, the warden doesn't tell him first. So a bunch of his cellmates tell Gene Wilder, hey, so since you did really good on that bull, he's going to try to get you to perform at the rodeo. Why is he going to get you to perform at the rodeo? Because he always makes bets against the other warden of another prison worth thousands of dollars to, race in the rodeo. And then he's like, well, that sounds great. We'll get money for the prison. And he goes, no. It's money for the warden. He doesn't spend any of it on us. We never see a cent. Like, that's terrible. And they're like, yeah. So anyways, you're going to have to not accept because the money. He goes, of course. To which then, they're like, but wait, we could be, we could get the better of our enemy here if we take this tactically. One of those characters like, what do you got in mind? And they're like, well, we could totally break out of prison. They're like, all right, that sounds like a great idea. How? And they're like, all right, first, you're going to need us with you. And normally, this goon, he's not really like a friendly fellow. You're not going to be able to pick your own team. So you're going to have to hold out for quite some time until we can officially establish that you get whatever you want. And he's going to get desperate when it comes down to game day because he's going to make that bet expecting you to join before you've joined. And all those characters like, all right. And then what? He's like, all right, we're going to want our own good room so we can plot and scheme. And we're going to need you to select your own team. And once you do that, you're golden. And he's like, all right, sounds like a plan. And so he holds out, and they start torturing him, and he's resilient to the torture. And I mean, it is sort of funny how like the character pretends to be like enjoying all these tortures, and then like when nobody's looking, he's like, "Holy shit, I'm going to die! Please, Lord, save me." But he holds out, and then eventually he gets his own team. So we're a majority through of the movie now, and that's the current plot. Is we want to escape. How? They haven't explained yet. In fact, they won't explain it ever. And this is where the movie gets actually good. Is this like last 30 minutes? So Gene Wilder's riding the bull. One of the criminals who had murdered his entire family is there. He's on their team. He's the guy who needs to protect Gene Wilder's character. And the wardens, by the way, or not the warden, the prison guards are in cahoots with the prisoner who runs the cell block. They're trying to get this guy killed. Like, they're trying to get him murdered by the bulls. So they're like, sticking the bull with like metal spikes. They're locking him in the cage so that he gets throttled. But then, Gene Wilder is good enough to ride the bull when it gets spiked. And this big guy literally breaks the lock off the gate, just rips it open with his bare hands. True barbarian status. Hey, that's a brewing stand. It's actually valuable. I should figure out what to throw away for that. So he's, like going through this. You know what? I can make another bucket. I don't need to carry a bucket of lava on me. I already have brewing stands, so they both okay. And so Gene Wilder's character brings Richard Pravitz's character, this Hispanic guy who was the one who told him all about this. This other dude who's apparently killed his stepfather, who's crushing on Richard Pravitz's character, and the big man. And then they conduct a seamless plan. They never explain this plan to the viewer at all. How they came up with it, how they got blueprints of this area. But they're like opening up wooden planks. They smuggled in some tools they made during metal shopping. And they're like sneaking through like the ventilation system. They even have it plotted out to knock out that like prisoner guy who's like runs the block and use him as like the fake Gene Wilder who's resting. Just it is a very fun ending. Now it took a lot of time to get to this point, but the ending itself is very fun. And then they conduct this seamless escape. like absolute like god levels of planning, and they all escape. And anyways, they find the actual thieves. Oh hey, that's full block. They find the actual thieves in the meantime. By the way, um, the people who pretended to be Gene Wilder and Richard Pravitz's character, and they find the real guys and they convict them. And so Gene Wilder and Richard Pravitz's characters are free. You know, free to a certain extent. I don't need the glistening melon. I have all I need. Proj Pro 4, Feather Falling 2. I am more likely to take fall damage than to be shot at. Not entirely true, but true enough. And so they're making their way out, and the lawyer and the lawyer's attractive cousin, who's been helping out on the case, come in, and they figured out the plot to kill these guys. I don't remember why. I'm not gonna pretend like I was paying 100% attention, but like I don't remember how they figured it out. But anyways, they find the original guys. These guys are now free to go. But this is all happening at the same time as these guys are making their prison escape. So they're all escaping. And the lawyer, well, it's a good thing I took those flying boots. And the lawyer comes with the cousin, and they're like, hey, you guys are free. Like, they see them driving away from the rodeo where they went to save them from being killed. And they're like, hey, you guys are actually just free people now. And they're like, we're free. Now we're going to, and the movie just ends happy ending. Now we, of course, are going to pretend like these guys are actually free and not going to be arrested for conducting a prison break. So, that it was certainly a movie. It wasn't the best movie I've ever seen. It had its moments, and the ending was very good. But it was definitely a trying effort. Then afterwards, we watched the Spongebob movie. And the reason we watched the Spongebob movie is because I did not grow up on Spongebob. So I had seen probably bits and pieces of the SpongeBob movie. Which, no, not probably. I had seen bits and pieces of the SpongeBob movie, but I had not seen the SpongeBob movie before. So I didn't know all of these memes that came from this movie particularly. I knew they came from SpongeBob, but there was a lot of memes that either my friend group uses or are just popular on the internet in general that come from the SpongeBob movie. And so we were watching this movie, and the movie was surprisingly good. I thought everybody was like praising it in my friend group because it was like nostalgic to them and they remember it being good. But no, the movie was actually quite good. So now I'm going to give my quick synopsis and review of the SpongeBob movie. So it's obviously, I'm not going to give a summary of the SpongeBob movie. I'm just going to talk about bits and pieces. But the comedy itself was actually pretty good. Because in a lot of modern random equals funny stuff, it's just they go for the opposite of what is expected, not truly random. But then you have this movie, which doesn't do that. This movie has a very different way of doing that, which is, hey, we didn't just do the opposite of what you expected. We just did something like weird but works. Like, oh, you're now men. Boom, seaweed on their face. It's like they were fake. Of course they were fake. This is a real mustache. And then he just fucking tries hard, and then his mustache appears. We also had a great time with like the fucking license plate. Uh, I kill you. With your head here underneath the boot. Um, that character was fun. Dennis. Fun fact about Dennis, which we realized when we reached the end of the movie, voiced by Alec Baldwin. Didn't know that one before. This looks like a neat sort of area. These trees are interesting. But, you know, Alec Baldwin voiced voiced Dennis, which was just wild to me because I couldn't tell it was Alec Baldwin. I'm a fan of Alec Baldwin's work, but I couldn't tell it. I mean, I just couldn't tell it was Alec Baldwin. I mean, Dennis is a fun character. I'm not gonna pretend like, you know, I only enjoyed it once I learned it was Alec Baldwin. No, I enjoyed Dennis. Very fun antagonist. In general, the whole movie was pretty fun. Uh, and another example of random equals funny just working. I mean, the entire deal with just every time something happened, they always decided a funny way of doing it. And I guess it's also just Patrick's character as well is just sort of like an embodiment of that humor. Like, because Patrick will say something stupid, but it's never something like wrong and stupid. It's always like the stupidest interpretation of what has happened. Like, there's the guy, Dennis shows up and he grows his own mustache. And Patrick, still behind what has happened, asks, is he a mermaid? Because the way they got their mustaches was, the mermaid. I said, was the mermaid said mermaid magic and turned them into men and they grew mustaches. But it was just seaweed. The entire end sequence of how SpongeBob recovers everything, he becomes like a magic wizard with an electric guitar. I mean, the movie overall was good. I mean, it's definitely a kids' movie still, but it was a good movie. I had a very fun time with it. A lot of really good humor. I mean, if you were like me and have not seen the SpongeBob movie before, I recommend it. It's not going to be the most profound thing you've ever watched, but you know, it's pretty fun. I can't lie about that. I mean, I could lie and say I didn't have fun, but to what end? Um, man, camels are not made to go through fucking mangrove swamps. And this is a very precarious ledge because right there to my left is death, destroyer of worlds. I'm glad I grabbed those feather falling twos. Take this goon out before he can fight back. I thought I would hit the water, so I hopped off the ammo. How are we gonna get you out of here, man? Will you go up the water? I don't think you will. Alright, let's get you as high as we can, and then I'll dig you up a little staircase. The SpongeBob movie was actually pretty good. From a non-SpongeBob fan. I'm telling you that. I enjoyed it. Alright. you'll kick me off if I enter this water stream. Now you're falling. I know it was all my fault, big man. I'm sorry. I'll leave you your saddle. You've earned that much, but I cannot bring you with me. I'm gonna have to go back to that sand village and grab a new camel, new big man. I'm sorry, big man. You're now big man of the caves. I believe in you. You will strive down there in the crater. I will have to grab a new big man. But I mean, there's no real point. I mean, it was just overall good comedy. And what made it better than Stir Crazy is it had a plot. A comedy children's show plot, but a plot nonetheless. And I mean, that's just like, it's just better than Stir Crazy. I got nothing else to say. Like, I can't defend Stir Crazy compared to SpongeBob was just a better movie. And it had Alec Baldwin. It had David Hasselhoff. I mean, the David Hasselhoff scene was hilarious. David Hasselhoff as himself. I think this camel is faster than the previous one. Not by a lot. But I think he is. He has the same amount of health as well. I don't remember. You are a new big man. And you shall venture with me to the ends of the earth. Or until the end of my life. Which is probably more likely. Can take a different way around that chasm because I know that area ahead of me now. But, you know, it was surprisingly a good watch. I also finished rewatching Danganronpa 3, the animation. As far as I'm concerned, that's the canonical end to the Danganronpa franchise. I do not consider V3 canon. If you do, you're just wrong. It is not worthy of being considered Danganronpa. I had a lot of fun with Danganronpa. 3, the animation is good. V3's story, shit. So, you know. V3 is still a fun game for the Danganronpa franchise. I say fun game, it's a visual novel. Make whatever jokes you'd like. I like my visual novels. But... Oh, and you'll probably never see me play a visual novel on this channel because apparently reading the screen is a great way to get copyright claimed. So, those videos don't become visible. But... I had a point. I swear I was saying something. Oh yeah, Danganronpa 3, the animation. It was good. I rewatched it again. It's enjoyable. I love the attention to detail. I pointed out a lot of it to the person I was watching with, who hadn't seen it before, but was also a fan of Danganronpa, what they had seen of it, which was, at that point, 1 and 2, and they were watching video essays. So, you know, they had reached a low. Because I mean, come on, they were watching Danganronpa video essays. That's a low. And so we watched through the animation. I pointed out certain things. I'm gonna run a spoiler. So if you're a Danganronpa fan who has not seen 3D animation, I mean, just cover your ears, I guess, because I'm about to spoil something. In 3D animation, we're talking future side, which is the killing game side. If you don't care, I guess I should give a little description for those of you who don't care about Danganronpa and just are here to listen to me spiel. The Danganronpa 3, the animation, comes with two sides: a future side and a despair side, with the final episode being the Hope arc, which is a single episode. And the point is, it bounces back and forth between a Danganronpa style killing game, but we've turned it into a fighting anime. And on the other side, it is how the characters of Danganronpa 2 became what they are in lore. And since Danganronpa 2 is the greatest part of Danganronpa, the animation was very good. And the complaint I'm about to make is about in 3D animation, in the future side, there is an entire big deal made about in the intro sequence, which is very good. It's called Dead or Lie. Or you should watch it, or we'll watch it. You should listen to it. It's a good song. But towards the end of it, oh, Savannah Villages come with melons. That's good to know for future runs, which I won't need any because this is the run. But so in the animation, that tells you how many people are left alive during the thing. And so in one episode, I'm going to be spoiling a lot, so this is your final spoiler warning. In one of the episodes, Munakata, Vice President Munakata, goes insano mode, and he cuts down Robo Mecha Gekagahara and just cuts in half. Boom, that's one death. He sees his good friend, Ultimate Boxer Sakakura, fucking runs him through with a sword. Boom, he's dead. Then the day passes and one person dies each night, mafia style. And boom, Ruruka dies to the attacker overnight. And a fourth person dies in the form of Kyoko Kirigiri, dying to get out of my bed, motherfucker. Dies in the form of Kyoko Kirigiri, who dies because of forbidden action, which is they get these bracelets that make it so that if you do your forbidden action, you die. And Kyoko Kirigiri's forbidden action was Makoto Naegi survives the fourth night. So Kyoko Kirigiri dies. At the beginning of the next episode of this type, so you watch Despair Arc, and then you go and you watch Future Arc. Again, the next one says 7 alive. So it said 9, then it said 7, which means only 3. Or no, it says 6. It says 6. And these 6 people it's referring to are Hagakure, the fortune teller, Makoto Naegi, the swimmer whose name I just can't remember for the life of me, Munakata, and the animator. And so that should be it. It should be just those 5, which means somebody's still alive. Great attention to detail. And it turns out Sakakura had survived being stabbed through the chest, and to keep himself awake overnight, he cut off the arm that had the bangle on it, so that it couldn't distribute any of the knockout into him. And so he's still alive. And that explains it, right? But here's my problem. Apparently, Psycho Kimura, who made the Ultimate Pharmacist, had died earlier, but she had made an impromptu cure for the poisons for your forbidden actions. But what it's supposed to, apparently, this toxin, it knocks you out and puts you in a coma uh, until the correct antidote can be given to you and you can wake up. And apparently, Kirigiri, who was investigating all the bodies, found this antidote on Seiko Kimura's body, or Seiko Kimura's body, on her body, um, and took some so that she wouldn't die. Now, so that means she's in a coma, not dead. So the animation of that should actually have said 7 left alive, which it didn't. Additionally, why didn't she provide that to anybody else in case they went knocked out? She should have. Why didn't she tell anybody that? Um, she should have. Also, it feels so much like an afterthought that they just wanted to keep Kyoko Kirigiri alive because she's a fan favorite character. I mean, I enjoy the character, don't get me wrong, but when a character is set into something like Danganronpa and they're set in this condition state where they are to die, it doesn't matter how much you like the character, they should be dead. That applies to everybody except for most of the cast of 2. R.I.P. Chiaki Naname. But some of those F tiers should have died, but the best character in all of Danganronpa is still alive, so that works out. But all things considered, I like 3D animation. I like battle animes, and they did the battles quite well. My main problem comes in the fact of Kirigiri died. They had written it for Kirigiri's death, and it just... Yes, she does find Kimura's body. Yes, that answer does make sense. But why didn't Kimura use any on herself? I mean, if she was in a coma, she couldn't defend herself, so... And she died to the attacker, not to her poison from the bangle. But she also believed in certain people surviving. So it would have made sense for her to distribute some of that. Because apparently it's something you can just take, and then when the poison on your bangle activates, you just go comatose instead. Seems like a major plot hole. And for all that I like about Danganronpa, that was a mistake. As much as I like Kyoko Kirigiri, she should have died. But I've been ranting on for quite some time. I'm going to end the episode here. It's been fun getting back to it, even if I have just taken a bunch of damage for no good reason. And I think I might have to deal with an area that's just not that interesting, but it's just kind of like fine, like this area. Because I just spent a lot of time exploring, and this camel is hard to get around. So I'm probably just gonna call it home somewhere around here, and then just build something like... I don't want to be this close to that village, though, and I don't like these pitfalls. Very picky about that. Also, I don't want blocks to have a different shade just because I'm on a border. I'll try exploring a little bit more around this little, like, continent, this shoreline, see if I can find a nice outpost. Also, building directly on the water might not be the greatest idea. I'm trying to think whether the drowned will really be that big a problem. Because one drowned with a trident can do a fuck ton of damage before you even realize that he's attacking you. Well, I mean, he hits you once. That's sort of the ambush. I'll try going through this jungle first, though the jungle did look pretty rough and tumble. But I'll save that for next time. Hope you enjoyed hearing me rant about 3 different pieces of media that you probably haven't consumed at least 2 of. Maybe only 1. That's it.